Yo, what up, Nashville? 3HL is on the air. 104.5 The Zone. Brent Doherty with you on a beautiful day in the Music City. I've got Don Davenport. I've got Ron Slay. I've got producer Joe Hunk. And we've got Titans General Manager Ram Carthon joins us now on 3HL. Ram, what's up? How are you, man?
Man, I'm good. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. So what do you do like the day after draft weekend? Do you have time to kind of decompress a little bit?
Pour a drink?
Nope.
Not
at all.
No, came in the office, was doing work. Today was our, guys' first day on the field. So that was, refreshing to get back to some football. And now I'm headed to go see a home.
Oh, time to move in, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
I like it.
So yeah, it's always, whether it's work or life, something's always going on.
You know, Big Jeff told us he was going to buy a house after he signed that contract extension. So maybe you guys can live next door to each other.
Did you say house or did that? Was there an S on the end of that E?
More like compound, huh?
Yeah.
Some land.
Right.
Let's start there. Getting that contract done, obviously vitally important for you guys moving forward. What does Jeffrey Simmons give you as a defensive lineman down there?
I mean, it's
Go.
that's who Jeff is as a player on the field. I think it speaks to itself, but just as good as he is on the field, he's even better off the field and the type of man that he is. And I think he shows what this organization is capable of doing in terms of identifying, developing, and re-signing our own. So it was always a huge priority of ours to get that done, when I got in here.
How impactful on a game is he? Like, just aside from the stats, but like if you really dive in and notice how many times he's double teamed and sometimes triple teamed and just his path toward making plays really consumes what an offense is trying to do.
It's funny hearing you say that. Like I'm smiling because it sounds like I'm talking to his agent. Because these were, that was a part of the conversation that we had, with his team when we were doing this deal, and we were talking numbers and comparative numbers to other guys, and they were quick to point out, like, hey, he has an impact on the game, which frees up other guys, just getting into the whole agent bag. So I couldn't help but smirk when I heard you say that.
Titans General Manager Ram Carthon with us on 3HO.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this draft, Ran. And, before we kind of jump into it, you guys draft a quarterback. I just kind of want to go back and get you to fill me in on your process of getting to know the quarterbacks that are on the roster already, the relationship building there with Tannehill, with Malik Willis, and all of this and then kind of leading into the draft and the decision to draft another quarterback. Fill me in on just that process of you getting to know what was on your roster.
Well, obviously it starts with the tape, prior to even getting the job, it's wanting to know the roster. So it's watching the tape prior to even interviewing, so you can speak intelligently about the players on the roster if you're asked. And then once you get the job and you get in the building, then the tape is what it is. You have a good feeling for that, but then it's getting to know the guys. And I had on different occasions to speak with Ryan and Malik, throughout my time being here. And have a good feel for them both on and off the field, and then in terms of scouting the quarterbacks in this draft class, you like to try to do the same, right? Because there was going to be no more college football after January, so you had all the tape readily available to you, and so you go to all these pro days, and I was at all four of the quote unquote top quarterback pro days. And so you go there, and for me, it was about seeing them in their comfortable environment and seeing how their teammates react and respond to them, as opposed to judging who they are at the combine, because those are usually uncomfortable situations. So, the thought of drafting a quarterback was really just about us trusting our board and continuing to add, good pieces, to our organization.
So Levis's pro day, what stood out to you then?
For me, it was just confirming what I've seen on the tape in the last couple of years. A big, strong guy that has a strong arm, that moves around well. I think that's a hidden part of his game that people don't talk enough about is his athleticism and his ability to create. And the one thing about Will is, very sharp. He's very competitive. And so seeing him in that environment, showed, he was allowed to show his command. And it was, you knew once you saw him walking through that building in Lexington that he was a guy right there.
So I'm sure you don't pay any attention to, social media and the fan base and whatever. Obviously, that we live in that world. That is our job. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious if you are told about the fan reaction of the Titans going quarterback in the second round, if you know about it, if you pay any attention to it. Just curious how you kind of get the information on where the fan base is.
Well, I don't, I'm not on social media. I have family members, I have friends who kind of tell me, little tidbits here and there. And, usually I tell them, just leave me alone with that. I got a lot on my plate right now.
Right.
But, hey, I understand. This is the fans' team. So if there's frustration, I understand it, but, it's an ongoing process. And what we didn't address, in free agency, we try to address in the drafts. And the player acquisition piece is not over. There's no rule that says that we can't stop acquiring players after the draft. So we don't have to have our 53-man roster set until September. So we're going to continue to look to find ways to add quality football players at positions of need. That's just is what it is. I try to stay away from those things and rumors. I think I said earlier, speaking to an outlet, if you listen to all the rumors, we're trading everybody. We're trying to trade up for everybody. But no one really knows what we're doing until we actually doing it. You guys mentioned Jeff earlier. All of the rumors were stating that we were shopping Jeff. We were trying to trade Jeff and those things. All the while, we were in constant communication with his team and negotiating this contract extension.
So, okay, you can tell me I'm not answering your question, Don. But so were you guys prepared to move up to number 3 to take C.J. Stroud? It's there's so many rumors out there about what goes on draft day.
Houston's not taking a quarterback,
right? Mm-hmm. How did that kind of seep in information wise to you? As far as what you hear and what the rumors are about what somebody's doing it to or one.
I said in the pre-draft presser, it's all of us being nosy, right? So,
yeah.
And I said that about just in general, and it didn't exclude myself, So calling around, trying to figure out, what the compensation would be to move up is really exploratory, because now you want to see, okay, well, the rumors are true. Maybe Arizona does want to move out of this spot. Okay, let's now figure out who may want to go up for that spot. What do they want to go up for that spot for? And again, we have to know that above and below us. And so that allows us to be in position to target, whoever it is that we're targeting at that point. So, we made calls. It didn't lock us in. We never had deals done with anybody to move up or down. But again, it's just us doing our due diligence to make sure that we're always in position to get a great football player.
Titans general manager Ran Carthon with us. Were you surprised that Will Levis was still there when the first round was completed? And did you guys try to get back into the back part of the first round, maybe to go get him?
No, I was surprised that he was there. And, for us, again, just making those calls, but then you started to see, on that back end where teams that had quarterbacks. So you're like, hey, he could get to round 2.
Yeah.
And so we had a plan in place, to if we felt like we wanted to make sure that we got him, we had a plan in place, which is what we ultimately did. And we also had a plan in place if we felt the need to stay at 41. So again, it's, understanding the board, working the board, along with our college scouts. They did a hell of a job in this process in terms of helping us surround the players. And, our pro department did a hell of a job, in terms of team needs and the book they put together to let us know who we're targeting certain positions.
Is it as simple as, I guess every situation is different, but it's just a fascinating process. Is it as simple as going with kind of the highest player on your board at certain times when you get later in the draft?
Yeah, it is, and again, for us, it's about the player and the person.
Yeah.
Each of the guys that we brought in, we've developed a relationship with those guys at some point of the process, and we felt really good about the people that we were bringing in. So on that back end, you'd love to get some guys with some traits that you could develop, that you could bring along through your program and teach them your way, and hopefully maximize those traits that you saw. I think Mike and his staff have done a great job of doing that with guys on this roster. Guys that were either drafted or undrafted.
We, Titans general manager Rand Carthon with us on 3HL. Sorry.
No, you're all right. Rand, let me ask you this. So what's the next step coming out of this draft? You were able to go get solid pieces, foundational pieces, especially with the offensive line. Like, I love that part. With I know it wasn't intentional, but not drafting any guys from the defensive side of the ball. Did anything go into that, or was just the best available that was falling on your board at that time?
That was really just best available, and you can't help, it's human nature to look and say, well, damn, we've gone all offense.
Right.
Like, you eyes pan over like, man, is there somebody left on the defensive side, just for the sake of it. But again, it's just trusting our board.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way this year, shaped out to be. But, again, you felt great about where those guys were on your board when we took them. And, I wish that we would have taken a picture of the board after every pick or when it got to our pick.
Right.
At the time we were picking, every person that we took clearly stood out on the board at where we had them.
Interesting. I asked if you were surprised Levis made it to the second round. How surprised were you that Skoronski lasted until 11? And I'm curious about how excited you guys were that he was still there.
Yeah, we didn't think it was going to happen. We figured he'd go ahead of us, and really thought he would have. It was cool to get texts from buddies of teams in your area. Saying that, that was our guy. Had this person not been here, we were going to take Skoronski. And so everyone saw it. It was just he was in everyone's, top 2 of where they could have gone. And, thankfully they went elsewhere, and thankfully he was there for us at 11.
Pat Fitzgerald came on the show on Friday. So did Skoronski. It was a delightful conversation. But Pat Fitzgerald said he's going to be an all-pro if he's not an all-pro at offensive tackle, he'll be an all-pro at offensive guard.
Yeah, and I believe that as well. The big question for everybody is, where is he going to play? Is he going to play tackle or is he going to play guard?
Yep.
And the only answer I can give you is offensive line.
And he makes you better there, that's for sure.
Right. Because he has that versatility. He gives you, the option of being able to put your best 5 on the field. But the other piece to it too, and Mike says this all the time to the guys, like, we don't care how you get here. Once you're here, you have an opportunity to earn it on the grass. So he and his teammates, they will figure out where each guy plays.
So we all know that this is a business. All these players know this is a business, and everything it's not personal, it's business, right? But I am curious if after the draft and you guys do go quarterback, if you have had a conversation with or talked to Ryan Tannehill since the draft?
No, we have. Those things happen fast, and so Mike was able to speak to Ryan. I was able to speak to Malik. But again, Mike does a very good job of communicating with the guys what things are. So these talks have already been had that the draft is coming, and we're gonna draft guys at certain positions on this team where we already have guys. That's just a part of it, and that's what it's going to be. But again, more than just saying that it's a business, it's our job to build a competitive team. Every year. And, just because of your draft status or what have you, doesn't lock you in, to a space on this roster. You have to go out and earn it. And so we're always looking to create competition at every position so we can get the best 53 people out there on this roster.
Obviously, when you look at the numbers, you spend a lot of time on contracts. That's a big part of your job. Ryan Tannehill counting almost 16% of the cap number himself. Kevin Byard, a big number that we've talked a lot about. Derrick Henry. How intense does it get in terms of reworking some of these deals now that you are clear from the draft?
I mean, our conversations that we've had with the guys will, remain, kind of between us and them. I don't ever want to, when we talk about contracts and these guys, statuses, with us, I don't ever like to talk about that publicly. Because I think we tend to forget, outside of it being public for them, it's public for their families, which then leads them to, have to answer unnecessary questions, which is unfortunate when these rumors come. These rumors about trading Derek, these rumors about trading, Ryan, like their families are now involved in that because these are public things. And I never want them to be public from us. And so I've said, on numerous occasions that we won't negotiate or do business in public when it comes to our guys. And so that's kind of going to be the way that we do things moving forward.
Rand, you got new home you're going to go search for, but the Titans, it's been passed that they got a new home coming too. So how excited are you, walking into the situation knowing you got a new stadium right there on the horizon?
Man, it's awesome. Burke and his team have put a lot of work into it. And the feedback and the support from the community has been overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And just the other people within our organization, man, the amount of time and hours that they put, into not only coming up with this plan or working with, people throughout the city and throughout the state to come up with this plan, but then their show of support. There were some restless nights for a lot of people within the organization just to be there, at the vote, to be a part and let their voice be heard. And so it's not only Titans fans and people that work for the organization that, were involved in helping this thing get pushed through. It was a lot of people and a lot of efforts. And so I'm super excited that we were able to get it passed. And, prayerfully look forward to, walking into that stadium one day as a Titan. And
don't you be concerned or frustrated if they ain't got a boom boom room or a cigar room in there. You can make something happen. I'm sure you got a couple numbers.
Cigar room.
Yeah, we can just throw some. That's just a little two-seater. Me and you, Rand, we just sit in there and just do our thing, and then come on out.
Listen, all we need is space and opportunity.
There you go. There you go.
That's life right there.
Yeah,
that's it, baby.
Sure is.
Hey, Rand, do you have a favorite Steve Spurrier story that you would share with
random.
us?
Oh man. Let's see.
The old ball coach.
Favorite, because it's a lot of them.
Hell, I have.
So a lot of people don't realize that the head ball coach is a bit of a germaphobe, right?
Yes, he is.
So one year, this was on Fridays. The night before a game, they take you to a movie, and so we were at a movie. We were at a home game, and Coach Spurrier sitting in his seat to watch the movie, get ready for the movie. And a local fan just ends up in the theater with us, and he sees Coach Spurrier, and he loses it. And he's like, oh, man, it's Steve Spurrier. What's up, Coach? And he brings his hand up to go dap Coach Spurrier. And Coach Spurrier looks at him, sticks his fist out, and he's like, no, Tiger Woods does this. And gave him a fist bump, shaking his hand. But if you know Coach and him being a germaphobe, that's my one funniest story in memory of Coach Spurrier.
Do you know what's so funny? The very first game I worked, it was actually South Carolina Clemson game. It was the first Spurrier game that I worked the sidelines for ESPN. And the very first thing their SID told me was, hey, make sure during the halftime interview you don't touch Coach Spurrier. I was like, got it, check. Hey, Rand, I actually saw Coach Spurrier at an XFL game. His son Scott is the tight ends coach for Arlington, and so he was there and with the whole family, and they watched. Which brings me to this question. I'm curious, with the XFL wrapping up, or I guess they have their championship game on the 13th, but what is your thought on finding some kind of talent there in the XFL? Like, have you watched it a lot, and what do you think about those players that are maybe looking for a second chance?
Yeah, and that's what I meant earlier when I said that the talent acquisition part isn't over. Just like all the other 31 teams had a draft this past weekend. And so as they're filling up their rosters, they're going to have to release players. And so, we're going to be all over those waiver wires. We've been scouting the XFL since it started. Our pro department, led by Brian Gardner, they've split up the XFL teams, and they see every game and know every player, that's playing in the league. And then, having buddies. And I just want to say shout out to Vaughn Hutchins, a former teammate of mine. A really good friend. He's running the DC team, and they're playing in the championship. So, you have those resources to be able to call those, those guys that are in the league to kind of talk more about the players. And so we're never not looking to improve our roster, however that may come.
Love it.
Appreciate the time, Rand.
Appreciate that, brother.
And, look forward to visiting again and as we go through the offseason. Appreciate you, man.
I look forward to that backyard when that grill fired up. I'm just saying.
And listen, the only time we're going to have the backyard with the grill fired up is if we're at your house. So I don't
That's a good throw off right there. Gladly accepted.
I'll make the mac and cheese and collard greens and potato salad, and I'll let you handle the grill.
Say no more. I get all the protein together. Don't trip.
I love it. Thanks, Rand. Appreciate you.
No, thank you guys.